The Walt Disney Company's live-action remake of Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler, has been wrought with controversy. Well, much of it self-inflicted by Rachel herself. No surprise there. And while she's trying to clean up her act to try to get folks to go watch her movie when it might release in March of 2025, no word yet if Disney's going to push it back again due to, 3 or 4 reshoots at this point. But one of the things that was a big question is what happened to the dwarves? Well, we didn't see them until they were CGI'd or AI'd into a photo that came out about a year ago now when we learned of the initial delay. But one of the questions was, did really Peter Dinklage have that much influence on Disney radically altering the traditional story that built the House of Mouse, arguably, when Walt made it some 80 years ago now? Well, lo and behold, at a recent convention, Warwick Davis, Willow. Warwick Davis decided he would voice a bit of an opinion on this, and, well, it went about as well as you'd think.
Renegade Online.
I had to miss. So to set this up, I had to miss the Warwick Davis event, and I was kind of chilling with some folks outside, and I didn't get to go sit through it, but I had a feeling it might be interesting. But Natalie was there, and I think Gary Ambrosia was there, and so y'all got to see this, and then y'all got a video sent back. And I got wind of this after the fact when I made it back to the con. I got wind of this. And I wasn't going to say anything on the show tonight about it because I knew you were going to have a break on it tomorrow as a video.
No,
but I saw
it.
y'all posted the article here on TPP. So I was like, I guess let's talk about it. So there was a question posed, a very clever question posed to Mr. Warwick Davis. This was a rather intimate panel. I mean, the room was maybe 100 chairs in there total.
That Park Place was on the front row, I understand.
So I heard. And y'all asked Warwick Davis about issues surrounding Snow White, which we were going to talk about Rachel Zegler and some recent stuff going on there as Disney tries to bail that
Natalie.
out.
That was Natalie and that Park Place journalist. Yeah. She went in there as a duo and came out a winner.
There you go. Y'all asked about how did he feel about the whole Snow White Peter Dinklage thing?
Wow.
This is basically how this got set. And that man had an answer. Okay?
Let's hear it.
Here we go. We got here
read
one
it for you, or you want to read it? Up to you.
Well, I tell you what, let me just roll through this. We all know who he is. We don't need to cover that beginning part. So let's scroll down here to where the question and answer session. Later, during an ICCC question and answer panel in Nashville, Mr. Warwick Davis, was asked again about the current situation with dwarf actors being excluded from roles by a Hollywood system that seems to favor CGI or digitally altered taller actors. After the question by investigative reporter Jonas J. Campbell, Warwick Davis did not hold back. It's interesting, Warwick says, and tomorrow, you guys, this is not a quote. This is on a video that y'all will see on Pro's channel. So
you don't have to read this. If you'll scroll down a little bit, we've got the video, and I own the copyright. I won't strike you.
You do. You put it in the article. Let's go do this. All right.
That is awesome, y'all.
Here is Warwick's. Wait, I'm going to have to switch this to a Chrome panel.
It is the real Warwick Davis.
Yes, it is him. Give me a second. I have to reshare this as a Chrome. Otherwise, I won't get audio. So why don't you set up to what's going on?
I just want to, I'll set it up. Folks, remember that Valiant Renegade is a part of that Park Place. He is a contributing member, of course, major role in that Park Place. And Valiant and that Park Place teamed up along with Force of Light to get this exclusive. Nobody else has this. You're seeing this for the first time. If you'd like to see the full Q&A session with Warwick Davis, that's available on T3PO Live. That's the long format podcast channel we have for that Park Place. Just look up T3PO and mods, especially Lauren and some of the others out there. If you guys could put a link to the video over there on T3PO, would love that. But yeah, we've got the exclusive right here.
Hi, my wife is very jealous of me that I get to ask you a question today. You've talked about your opportunity that came from them putting in the paper an ad asking for little people, and like they're going to be in a few years casting this new Harry Potter series, and like your son, which it's now occurring to me why his name is Harrison, was in Rise of Skywalker. But there's this thing going on where people are wanting to be inclusive but also have representation. But I think in the name of inclusivity, they're maybe saying that they're not going to hire short people for some of these roles. I just wanted to know what you think about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. More recently, you're seeing lots of sort of short fictional characters being portrayed by average-sized actors who have been shrunk digitally. I mean, at first I kind of excused it by thinking, well, there's not really the pool of talent to draw from to cast, all the characters in Lord of the Rings, for example. So I kind of excused that for happening, but recently they're doing it more and more, and I just think it looks pretty scary almost. It's just not a good look, and it is a shame because there's a lot of very talented short actors in the world who are not getting a chance to do what they do. Some of them have trained for years to do this, and they're just not getting a look in. It'd be wrong to cast somebody as a disabled person in a wheelchair with a kind of able-bodied actor, I think. But they do it with short people all the time. So yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I'm not actively kind of campaigning, but it'd be nice if my voice was heard on these issues. Thank you.
That was that's exactly what needs to be done. Yeah.
And that's it, Ryan. It goes to more.
Yeah. What's that?
Well, I was just going to say, that if you couldn't tell me, now he's doing it diplomatically. There is no way that he's not responding to Peter Dinklage. And I would venture that he's referring to the ugliness that we're seeing in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which, by the way, were able to get out of Warwick Davis earlier in an exclusive interview that Disney never, ever, ever contacted him about Snow White. Not a single time.
Right.
He would have been
Not
the
once.
perfect doc. But no.
Yep. No, he was, and this is a guy, Warwick Davis, who now, by extension and an acquisition of Disney, through purchasing things like Lucasfilm, and not to mention probably, I can't even think, I'm sure there's several previous Disney projects, like before Lucasfilm involvement, that Warwick Davis was part of. So like forget Willow for a second, and forget previous appearances in other Lucasfilm projects. The fact that Disney decided to make a live-action remake of Snow White, which something that was in the planning phases since before COVID, let's be honest, because they had this lined up. When they decided to do live-action Lion King, live-action Beauty and the Beast, live-action Aladdin, all of which came out pre-COVID, they had a list of where they were going. They were going to Little Mermaid. They were going to Snow White, right? And how, in all these years, way before this movie was actually even put into principal photography, that nobody at Disney reached out to Warwick Davis to be a part of this film is unfathomable. And it's
least
insulting.
a consultant. At least a consultant.
It's insulting. If
Well-
Disney is pushing themselves as being champions of diversity, equity, and inclusion, well, where was the equity and inclusion for Warwick Davis?
I'll go
when you're
one further
literally
on you
putting
guys.
characters that are designed for guys like Warwick Davis.
Remember that story that came out a couple weeks back now, where the little actress herself was talking about where she was actually in talks to be working on the Snow White feature, and then all of a sudden she quit getting phone calls after the Peter Dinklage thing. So I guess they were actually thinking about using little people in the film, it sounded like.
I think they were, but nobody ever reached out to him. Like he said,
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I
Yeah,
see what you're
like,
saying, and I think
I
that's
didn't get
really
a phone
screwed
call.
up, considering how connected Warwick Davis is with everything at Lucasfilm. You would think that, that bridge with Disney, that not only that, he's arguably the most well-known little person actor outside of Peter Dinklage.
Right.
So what the hell are you doing?
He's been around a hell of a lot longer than Dinklage.
Right. Well, that
Yeah.
too. I mean, duh. Like,
Well,
That's what I'm saying. It's I was shocked to hear him talk about and find out that Nobody had ever communicated with him. Nobody from Disney had ever contacted him. Like, hey, we're casting. Would you be interested? Nothing. Nobody ever reached out to him about this. This is.
Well, are you surprised they made a Willow show that wasn't even about Willow?
Yeah, he's already been dirty once. I don't want to insert us into the story too much, but I do want to say, Valiant, I want to give you some praise here because I think it's warranted. You came on as a financial partner with that park place. John Trent has come on as the editor-in-chief. It has really, the website and the network has been supercharged. And you've been no small part in that. Now, folks, we're not reading the stories out there from the lamestream press. This question that's been out there for 2 years and the exclusion of these great actors, and now finally the one person, the one dwarf actor who's bigger than Dinklage and everybody knows it, and he's giving the definitive response. Valiant, excellent work, sir.
He might even be physically bigger for all we know.
Well, I was about to say, somebody can make the bigger joke. Yeah.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.